Hi, nice to meet everyone.
Welcome.
Sorry, I just heard it. I heard a tiny bit of reverb. That's not on my end, is it?
I don't know, but I mean, welcome. You can voice any arguments or objections that you'd like. We typically give people the floor, so go ahead and say whatever you'd like to say, and then we'll respond in terms of giving a fair critique.
Oh, thanks so much, Jay. Appreciate it. Yeah. So quantum, as which I'm not sure we'll know what the Copenhagen interpretation is. It's about 100 years ago. A bunch of scientists got together to say, well, we're going to frame quantum this way, and they came up with some you could call axioms, and I don't know if they identify them as such. In my view, they're axioms because axioms are metaphysical things that you assert before you start making any type of observable diagnosis, measurement. Take your pick, right? So there's
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I don't think I actually muted myself. It might just be my connection. Am I okay now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Where was I? So quantum already defines, like even the word quantum is metaphysical because it's saying, are you familiar with, who was the guy back in ancient Rome who talked about the atomos concept, the indivisibility concept?
Are you talking about the ancient Greek philosophers like Democritus, the atomists?
That's it. So his whole idea was, well, what if I just divide in two and then on and on? What happens at the limit sort of thing? And concluded has to be a limit, basically.
Okay.
That thought experiment would then lead us to say, well, the universe is comprised of indivisible entities, and we're going to call those atoms. That's a metaphysical framing because we can't prove that before we go to do experiments. That's a way that we frame the result of experiments.
Okay.
Quantum has, I wouldn't say that it has a unified corpus of self-consistent axioms at this time, which is what you'd really need for it to be like a cogent metaphysical system, but it does have de facto metaphysics, and that would include things like particles. If you look up standard model, it'll say standard model of particle physics, and the axiom is that it's possible to break observables down into entities that largely can be classified as particles. You get ideas like quarks, and I doubt this is super interesting to most people, but you can look it up. It's called standard model particle physics. There's
I think plenty of people in here.
20 now.
Yeah, plenty of people in here are familiar with those basic ideas. I mean, nobody in here is a theoretical particle physicist, but we are aware of those ideas in here.
So you could definitely say that by embracing a quantum framework, that you are inheriting some type of definitely axioms, if not an entire metaphysical structure.
Okay, can I rewind a little bit, maybe back up?
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
The one thing I would say that's a immediate problem I would have with where we're going in this is that domain is highly speculative. So that's not to say that I completely discount anything to do with quantum physics or anything like that, but it's very kind of out there, and it's very hard to verify that the claims of CERN, that we can actually go and see that what they're doing is actually doing what they say they're doing. Again, that's not me denying it. I'm just being skeptical. So I'm going to rewind a little bit and say, from a philosopher's perspective, a lot of this is operating on huge assumptions. And so what I would say is that I need a justification for a lot of the assumptions that are at work here that are very, very, very speculative. So again, it's not to say you're not right about some of your points, or that there's not, breakthrough discoveries in quantum physics and all that. But just to rewind it and say, well, now wait a minute. So if you're a quote pantheist, like for me, that's already red flags of monism. And for me, that's going to make knowledge impossible if that's actually the case. So is that right? You're a pantheist?
Yes, and I find it strange because the early Christians were. I mean, would you agree they classify themselves as Neoplatonists?
No, totally not.
Wait, you wouldn't agree with that? Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I've definitely heard this criticism before. I've also heard the opinion, which sort of reminds me, but what you're saying is that it's possible to make assertions without any assumptions / axioms. Would you agree with that? It's possible to make unqualified assertions, in other words?
No, not at all.
Don't agree with that. Okay, good. Because I don't either. I've heard the claim, and I just want to make sure what type of a position I'm dealing with here.
So before we get to the presuppositions and assertions and axioms, let's rewind. Where are you getting the idea that early Christians were Neoplatonists?
Well, I've heard of. I mean, it's not my main domain of inquiry, but I thought that this was basically uncontested.
No,
Christianity.
I mean, there was. Hold on.
Look at the arguments of.
So there was popular movements in the late 1800s and early 19th century or 1900s about the influence of Neoplatonism on early Christianity, but that was
Gnosticism.
Hold on. That was in vogue for a while, but that has been dispensed for probably a century in terms of early Christian doctrines and studies. Nobody holds to that view anymore. It's really just, it was a fad that's gone.
And is based on Platonism.
Hold on a second. Most of the church, so we have people in here that are specialists in patristics and church fathers. So this is the domain that we do know well, and most of the early Christian fathers write apologetics against Platonists. So that's just a simple, just easy to rebuke misunderstanding.
I think you're probably right about. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying there. What I'm saying is that did they not have a Platonic metaphysics, but a Christian religion? Like, for example, with the Gnostics, you know how they had the Hylics, and
so this is a really nuanced
three typologies.
So this is a new
thematics and psychics.
This is a nuanced position where, yes, some of the church fathers studied Plato and Aristotle, and yes, they did at times borrow concepts like, Maximus the Confessor uses he uses Porphyry, he uses Plotinus, and he uses Aristotle. But exactly what it means to say, quote, they were Neoplatonists is far exaggerated. No, they weren't Neoplatonists because typically, for example, the fundamental Trinitarian treatises of, say, Athanasius or of the Cappadocians, they were written, and that's where we get our doctrine of Trinity, is from them, essentially. They were all written to refute Neoplatonists. So it really depends on precisely what we mean by the influence of Neoplatonism. But beyond that, Gnosticism, I don't really see how that's relevant to what we're talking about because, the church fathers also write.
They use Platonic metaphysics.
Okay, but we're not Gnostics, so how does that?
The early Christians. I wasn't saying you're a Platonist or a
Gnostic.
No,
the early Christians weren't
Christians
no, they
validated
weren't.
Platonism.
Again, I just explained how it was nuanced.
That was my position, but you've convinced me that that's not how you see it, and I'm okay to go with that. I don't want to get in an argument about that because it's clearly more your domain of expertise than mine, this early Christian stuff.
Okay, so let's go back to the other point about axioms and all that, presuppositions. If you're a pantheist, then how do you not fall into the problems of monism?
I mean, the all is one, kumbaya.
Well, yeah, I mean, that doesn't pantheism kind of require a doctrine of monism at a fundamental level?
What's monism in your view? I'm not trying to be, not trying to start anything. I just want to get a semi-clear idea because this word to me means more than one
thing. That all reality is fundamentally one type of thing.
We call that non-dualism, and fundamentally the universe is non-dual, but it's considered tautological.
Okay, so how do you know this?
Irrelevant.
How is it irrelevant? Because if that's the case, then
tautologies are irrelevant to logic. The only relevance tautologies have to logic is when they're axioms.
You're saying all these things, and I want to know how you know this and how you give an account for that.
Knowledge comes from God. I think we probably agree on that, if nothing else.
Well, I mean, how do you know who God is? I don't know that we have the same God. Huh?
Universe is God. I'm a pantheist. Going with the
so we don't believe that. So I'm saying that I think that position leads to absurdity. So that's why I'm asking you for an account for how do you not fall into monism?
You're saying monism leads to absurdity. I'm saying, are you talking about the all is one hash-headed thing? I'm saying that's a concern. I'll agree with you on that. That's a concern. but it's like basically it's like idolatry. It's like it's something that seems to just sort of crop up in people who aren't intellectuals. Like maybe it's like a superstition thing. So
I'm saying
we have
it
certain
would lead to
superstitious
absurd.
aspects to our minds. That doesn't mean we can't pursue knowledge. It just means that we have to be honest about things like solipsism and these other issues that
Right.
we can't falsify, but we also can't contextualize meaning right off the bat because it's like, what the heck does that even mean? You know, self-answer
So hold
metaphysical
on.
questions like
Just,
grounding meaning.
yes, right. So in other words, you're saying that, well, we can't falsify those positions, but we also don't know if they're true or false, right? That's essentially what you're saying, right?
Sort of into my own like metaphysical construction. I did want to address the original point of me being brought in here, which is just rephrase. I'm making an argument that quantum mechanics, when one pursues quantum mechanics philosophically or otherwise, one is inheriting a metaphysical framework,
Right.
which includes assumptions like there is a critical, fundamental nature to reality. Reality can be modeled with calculus and other like Euclidean
Well,
type
you just
axioms.
said,
I
hold on.
won't
You
say the
just
full
said
list,
that
but
those things don't relate to metaphysics, and now you're making
these things
metaphysical claims,
are metaphysical assertions about
right?
quantum. The question is quantum inheriting tacit metaphysics? I'm saying yes, and I'm telling you why I think that's a fact. And it's because of all this clunky math axioms and assumptions
Okay.
about particles. Another one is the correspondence principle. It's
Okay.
pulled out of basically nowhere. It's just an assumption saying, well, there's no quantum effects on the macro scale. Well, why? Well, because we said so. Because we already have theories that describe things without quantum. It's like,
All of
how do you
science
know
is
that?
that way, though.
Yeah, that's right.
Quantum
So I'm
mechanics is
sympathetic to your
not.
I'm probably sympathetic to a lot of your issues with science. No problem acknowledging them. It's actually very
Okay.
important to acknowledge them, and it makes
Why
you
are
look
you not?
weak when you don't.
Let's get past all this like science talk here. Like, why are you not a Christian then? Because I mean, I'm saying that pantheism is absurd.
You're saying it's absurd, but you have to demonstrate that it's absurd,
Yeah, I'm
and I
glad
don't
to
know
do
that you've
that.
done that.
And one way that I can easily do that is the question that I asked you about distinctions in monism, and you just said, "Well, we can't really prove or disprove anything about that." Well,
It's the beginning. So, for
that's not
example,
an adequate answer to. So
what do you
basically, you're
do?
saying your position doesn't want to answer those kinds of problems.
Well, I'm acknowledging that I maybe can't at the beginning, but what do you do about something like nihilism? Someone comes to you and says, "Jay, I don't even care. None of it means anything." What
I'm
do
going
you
to
do
give
with
it.
that? Like,
I'm going to give the transcendental argument against any kind of philosophical position that's not my position. So I'm going to do a presuppositional critique of nihilism, and that's all I'm
so
doing
I'm
with
just
your.
going to say, I don't even care. That the answer to nihilism is I don't care. The
That's not
universe
giving
doesn't
an.
care. I don't care, and then it's just like nobody cares. That's
Okay,
kind of what
so
it
do you
is with.
understand that debate operates on rules? Like you have to follow the rules, right? Like chess, right? If you come to the table and say we're going to play chess, and then you say, "But I'm not going to follow any of these rules," then we're not playing chess anymore, right?
Sure, yeah, I'm sorry. Just tell me
So
what the rule.
in a debate, you have to follow the rules of what's expected of both parties, which is to give an account for knowledge, metaphysics, and ethics, a worldview. And so I'm saying that I need an account for your position. If I'm going to accept your position of pantheism, how does your position give an account for ethics, knowledge, and metaphysics? How is it a coherent worldview?
Can you differentiate between ethics and morality, please?
I'm not differentiating between them.
Because I don't explicitly define ethics. I define protocols and morality.
Okay, so again, this is deflecting from, can you give
No,
an account
I
for your worldview or not?
can account for everything that is metaphysically necessary, but I'm
No,
trying to
an
do the
account
least
for the
action
basic.
principle.
No, again, this is a simple question, and you're just talking around it. I'm just asking for a simple account for how you explain ethics, metaphysics, and epistemology.
You don't get to say whether the account is simple or not. You don't get to set the terms for how simple God is, but I'm asking you a simple question of ethics. How does it relate to morality?
I'm asking you the question because you're here positing
I want to
argument,
answer. I
supposed
want to
argument.
answer your question, Jay, but I need to know what is ethics relation
Yeah,
to
you don't.
morality
That's
before I
again,
can
that's a
answer.
violation. That's tu quoque. That's a fallacy. You know that's a fallacy.
Asking a question is a
Tu quoque
fallacy.
is a fallacy. Do you know what tu quoque is?
Sorry, I don't, Jay.
Right. So that's a
I didn't know I
fallacy.
couldn't
So
ask a
I asked you
question.
the question, and then you turn the question back on me. Is tu quoque?
Well, I'm not trying to turn it around on you. I'm trying to get you. Turning it around on you would be to ask you to
That's a
define ethics.
fallacy. Again, if we're
Asking you to
going to
define the relationship between ethics and morality. There one.
Again, it's just the ethics is just another word for morals. It's just a domain of philosophy. Okay, if you're going to be a sophist, like what's your
Just
point here?
asking Jay. Jay, I'm just asking.
You're not.
I want to
No,
know.
you're not. You're deflecting from the actual questions
about to
about
answer your
giving an account.
question.
Are you going to give an account for your worldview or not?
Yes, I will. I just need to know what you mean by ethics, and I will. So I can.
It's
I
not.
know
No, you're not.
what
You're just
knowledge is.
deflecting. Ethics is morals. Are they normative? Are they objective? Are they relative? Or are they social constructs? You know what the domain of ethics is. Anybody?
Sorry, I don't know.
Okay,
My
so
background is
anybody,
physics.
so you've never been to college and had philosophy classes. You don't know what ethics is. There's no such thing as ethics when you take philosophy classes. This is silly.
I didn't take any. I'm sorry.
I got a video
took
coming
physics.
on in 3 minutes you can watch on ethics university video.
So again, that was too quick. Right?
Knowledge.
You
Why don't
can't.
we
I
start
asked you a
why don't we
question.
start with
Right?
knowledge? Yeah,
Are you
that's
going
fine,
to
Jay.
give an account, or are you just going to keep talking?
Sure. Yeah. So knowledge. Where does knowledge come from? God.
Okay, who is
manner in
God?
which
What is this? You're just
the
saying
universe,
these
the
things.
the universe is
Okay, how do
God.
you know that the universe is God?
That is what my religion tells me.
Okay, that's
Can
not.
give you an
That's not
additional
giving an
reason.
account for.
I can give you an additional justification if you'd like.
Yes. What is the justification for that belief?
We start with what is the nature of our own experience is subjectivized, i.e., some type of a maximum concentration, maybe between the eyes or around that general
Okay,
area.
I have no idea what you're talking about. A maximum concentration between the eyes. What are you
So
talking about?
we have some consciousness. Would you agree that it has a maximum between your eyebrows somewhere? Like, where does it feel like your thoughts are coming from?
Right. So, do you know what foundationalism is? Like the idea that there's these sort of self-evident maxims. Is that where you're going?
I thought it was self-evident, but if you don't think it's self-evident that your thoughts come
I don't
from
think anything is
in your
self-evident.
brain, I was trying to argue based on self-evident things, but if you don't agree with that,
There's not. I don't think there's anything
I'll have
self-evident.
to just presuppose that it's a fact that it feels like thoughts come from your brain near your
Okay,
eyes.
but that's not giving an account for a justification for something because
I've only gotten about 10% into the explanation. So do you want me to go 100%? Because you're going to have to listen to the entire explanation as to why the universe
no,
being
that's
God is
not
the
what
optimum
have you,
state.
that's not what philosophy does, right? So philosophy
is you don't set the terms of what philosophy is, Jay. I'm trying to explain to you why the universe being
No,
God gives
you've
knowledge.
not even
I
had a
can do
philosophy
that.
class because you would know what tu quoque was. You would know that we don't grant you your presuppositions in philosophy. That's fundamental to philosophy. So I'm not making up what philosophy
I'm
is.
establishing them now, but you can't interrupt halfway through my establishing it.
No,
You
I
don't
can
understand
when
until I get to the end.
you're. I'm not going to allow you to have unjustified presuppositions that you don't give an account for. That's what philosophy does, right? Have you read the Apology? Like he goes around and questions
That's
people's
what Christians
presuppositions.
try to do to philosophy, but that I'm afraid is not what philosophy is.
No, you don't know what you're
Well, you
talking
wish
about.
it
That's
was,
what
but
Socrates
it's
does.
not what it is.
Socrates doing the Apology.
So
What does
Do you
Socrates
have an objective claim
it
to what philosophy is?
I will try to say in a short amount of time why the
What does
universe being
Socrates
God
do?
is good.
You're not. I don't think you're competent to say what philosophy is or isn't. So how are you going to debate philosophy?
Alone.
How are you going to debate philosophy if you're not aware of what Socrates does in the Apology?
Am I going to get to answer the knowledge metaphysics ethics
Well,
thing?
I will debate you if I think that you're actually competent in this field, and I don't think that you are. And I'm not trying to be mean to you, but you're here to debate philosophy. Do you have?
I thought I was here to explain why metaphysics is tacit to quantum mechanics.
Yeah. So I don't think that you are knowledgeable of even what basic fallacies are.
I don't accept that these fallacies are justified grounds to anything. So
Right. So now you're not doing philosophy and logic. So you said that I
only accept certain fallacies, but you know
this is sophistry. So can you tell me what Socrates does in the Apology?
Why is Socrates so important?
Okay, so you have no knowledge of philosophy whatsoever. So this is a waste of time.
I'd love to answer your question about knowledge.
But you're debating topics that you have no knowledge of. You're completely.
I have a good knowledge. I just
no, you don't.
Your presuppositions. So.
This is not a This is not a question of presuppositions. It's a question of fundamental knowledge of
fallacies.
You don't even know what philosophy is. You don't know basic philosophy. You don't know, but you don't even know what tu quoque was.
Do I need to if I have all the answers to everything and everyone seeks me out to give them? No. I need to play by
Everyone-
your rules if I have the answers,
Uh,
do I?
You sound like an insane, honestly.
Sorry to interject. I just like to ask. I'm not sure who this person is. I would just like to ask if you can explain a couple things to me. Can you tell me what a Hilbert space is, what a Hermitian operator is, and what a
Did you
time
realize that
evolution operator is?
You've got 3 questions there. You do realize that if we were in physics, it would probably take a half an hour just to get halfway into
So
answering the
we're
first
not going to
question.
debate
Okay,
this anymore.
okay,
This is
okay.
No. Stop.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So this person doesn't know anything about the domain of philosophy, and that's what we do in here. So I'm sure that she's very competent in the fanciful arena of speculative theoretical physics, but that's not philosophy. Philosophy has rules. It has specific arenas and domains like epistemology, like ethics, like metaphysics. And so if you're not knowledgeable of the fundamentals, you can't competently debate. And people think that I'm being mean or I'm just trying to dismiss you. I'm just trying to say it would be like going into a debate with a mathematician and, like not knowing your times tables, but you want to come and debate like calculus. Okay, you need to know more fundamental things to have a reasonable, coherent debate. And so it's not me being mean to you, it's just me being honest with you and telling you that you're not competent to debate the philosophy of these issues. That's different from the physics. I'm sure you're really good at the physics that you do. But you have to know
Anyone you
basic
could
things.
recommend that I could learn from, do you think?
Well, yeah, we have a PhD in logic in here. Father Deacon Dr. Ananias. He has a channel dedicated to basic philosophy lectures. No, I'm not mad. It's okay. I'm not. This is typical for what we have in this work. We have these kinds of discussions, so it's okay. I'm not trying to be mean. It's not a rude thing. It's rather that you got to be aware of some of the fundamentals to debate these things in the domain of philosophy. In the domain of philosophy, that's what we do here.
But I wouldn't mind. I do have a degree in physics, and I have been working, quote unquote, in the field quite a while.
Right, but that's not philosophy. That's a different thing.
Philosophy is about what's real, right? You asked me to answer a question about why knowledge comes
that's
from
not
the
what
universe.
philosophy is. That's one of the questions of philosophy. That's not what philosophy is. So, as is the case oftentimes with physicists, they come to philosophy and they want to boil it all down to one simple thing. Oh, it's all this. No, that's not what philosophy is. Philosophy has 3 domains, classically, traditionally: epistemology, knowledge; metaphysics, what's real, what's not; and ethics, rights and wrongs.
Trinity.
Excuse me?
Trinity. The unholy Trinity.
Okay.
I'm afraid I have to destroy this idol.
Retarded. What are you even talking about? That's the fact that that's 3 things.
Iconoclasm?
The fact that that's 3
Karma of
things is not the
iconoclasm,
Trinity.
Jay, is what
You're a
I'm talking
retard.
about.
You're out of here. You're not going to come in here and blaspheme like that. That has nothing to do with the doctrine of Trinity. Like you sound like an insane person.
I think she was talking about the categories of philosophy. Those are the unholy trinity.
You're
Okay, this is
presupposing that they're
retarded. That doesn't
separate.
even
You're presupposing that they're
it's.
separate, and I'm saying you have no grounds to presuppose
I
that. And
didn't
it makes
say
no
that
sense to
they're
presuppose
distinct.
that.
I didn't say they're separate. I argue all the time that ethics presupposes.
Just spend how much time trying to justify that I can't ground my own knowledge claim without being interrupted.
Let's move on.
I came in late. How long was that going on?
Too long.
These people.
Are you guys sure that that person has a degree in physics?
She sounds like an insane person, honestly.
I don't think she does, because I actually am doing mathematical physics. And I've taken multiple courses in quantum mechanics. And the way that this person is talking makes no sense. And the fact that they say 30 minutes to explain those couple of things I just said, you can do them each in a sentence.
I sense a delusion, really.
And especially when they say they have all the answers and they don't need to justify them.
That was like, okay, this is an insane. This is an insane person.
I have all the answers. I need justify not.
Jay, I think one of the problems is, I keep noticing this across the board, is when we say you need to give a justification or account for how your worldview can account for knowledge and morality, they think that means, let me tell you a story.
Absolutely.
That'll describe the appearances. Now, the problem is, every scientific paradigm that contradicts each other gives a story, right? That's every philosophy. That's not justification. Obviously, you want to give a story, but that's right. That's not what satisfies an account as far in terms of justification. It's like people can't get this. Well, if I just explain enough things, and it sounds nice, and it fits it, well, then that's my justification. And they can't roll it back farther than, and that's why she.
It sounded like her LSD trip journey or something. Like, so there's this space between our eyes, which is consciousness, and we look at the world, and it's like it blows into our mind. There's an explosion.
It's a concentration between the eyebrows.
There's a big bang between our eyebrows. It's my third eye, and when it's open, then it's like, what are you talking about, dude? This is crazy.
Oh my gosh.